Labour has gone to war with hard-working British taxpayers. They promised you they knew what they were doing.
I spent the best part of a decade as an economist at the Bank of England. I know the importance of financial and economic stability.
Well, today, news broke that inflation has doubled under Labour. It's at 3.8%. What does that mean? Well, your shopping is more expensive than ever. Beef and veal is up 24%. Butter is up almost 18%. Coffee up 18%. Milk by more than 11%. Baked goods more than 7%. Sir Keir Starmer promised you this.
And that's why the Labour Party has a fully costed plan to freeze
your energy bills. The reality, though, is that millions of you will be hit with energy price rises in October because of a government levy that subsidises electricity and gas for the UK's so-called poorest homes. But get this, Sir Keir Starmer categorically ruled out capital gains tax on the sale of homes at the last election. Now what's happening? It looks like a new property tax, allegedly being considered, will clobber home sellers if their home is worth more than £500,000, which will probably be a fixed value. So in the next 10 to 15 years' time, that will include loads more homes. Labour like to get stuck into the Tories about Liz Truss.
No idea how he's going to pay for it. Is Liz Truss all over again? And what Nigel Farage is doing is Liz Truss 2.0.
When he described the disastrous Liz Truss budget, because Liz Truss made a load of commitments.
It's worse now. We have the highest price rises of anywhere in Europe, and it's getting worse still. Your rail fares are set to increase by just under 6% next year. It's a good job Labour gave the rail unions a whopping great big pay rise, isn't it? Who is paying the price for all of this incompetence? It's hard-working British taxpayers. There is a war on, and that war is between Labour and your hard-earned money.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind. The more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Let's get the views of my panel. We've got the Director of Popular Conservatism, Mark Littlewood, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Right then, Mark, so, well, I mean, where to start with this, really? Have they gone to war with the British taxpayer?
Yes, and we should be unsurprised. I mean, look, the short-term position is dire. The long-term position is catastrophic. What the Labour government has decided to do is to maintain and grow a bloated, inefficient public sector, which is not particularly productive, at the expense of the more productive private sector. So they inherited the highest tax burden in our lifetimes, in peacetime. They've added to it. Little wonder that the economy's on the floor. They've given big payouts to rail workers and inefficient public sector workers. So that's all grim, and I'm afraid will continue. The mission of this government seems to be to transfer money from basically efficient private sector workers to less efficient public sector workers. And for the overall economy as a whole, that spells doom. They cannot get tax any higher, nearly impossible. They're now, property is about the last thing they can go for, because it's pretty hard to hide your property offshore or to pretend that you don't own it. So they can screw you for property. That's probably about the last thing they can go for, and boy, are they going to go for it. And don't fall for any left-wing commentators saying this is a mansion tax. My two-bedroom ex-council flat in Wandsworth will be caught by this. I promise you it is not a mansion.
Quite. Adam, yeah, just on this, I mean, inflation's going up. It means that we've got the highest price rises of anywhere in Europe. I mean, is that on this government, do you think?
Yeah, look, this government couldn't run a bath. They are economically inept. I actually look at some of their policies and think, are you doing this on purpose? I mean, the national insurance contributions that they hit us with at the last budget is probably one of the worst policies in decades to business. It's killing us. Now, you know, everything seems to be going up. You go to a supermarket, they're just casually putting £1 on things. You know, that could be 30%.
We had that graph before.
Yeah.
I mean, that showed it. That literally showed it. The price of things going up by 20% or 80%.
And say someone like me, I'm a publican. A pint, the way this has gone, should be about £9 since COVID. But we've borne the brunt of it and tried to keep it down. My suppliers are putting their prices up left, right and centre. But like things like the property tax,
yeah.
You know, we've warned about that. I sat on this sofa 3 or 4 years ago warning that if Labour ever get in, they're going to come for your house. And that is exactly what they do. But it's going to affect the working class as well, because if people do not want to invest money in their houses and improve, suddenly the builders haven't got any work. And then suddenly the people that are working in the big warehouses that sell the building merchants, they're going to get screwed as well. So this is going to cost billions, and they must know that. They must.
Well, let's deal with that. I mean, so at the last election, Sir Keir Starmer promised, he pledged that there will be no capital gains tax on the sale of your home. And all of the noises suggest that that is now going to happen. He also said, Nina, he had a fully costed plan to fix your energy bills, and they are going up again in the next month or so, aren't they? So there's two whoppers there, I think.
Well, they haven't. These things haven't happened yet. There's a lot of talk about it. They're maybe just running things up the flagpole and thinking, oh, God, we can't do that. That's going to be a disaster. That's going to be politically complete catastrophe. So they're running things up the flagpole to see what will work. To be fair, I am not an economist, so I have to reduce it to a domestic kind of level. And the reason we're all in this financial fix is like supposing you suddenly discover that a relative of yours has spent all the money, has just frittered it away, gambled it away, done whatever they've done, and the family has no money. Well, the family member that did that were the Tories, OK? And we're left to pick up the pieces. So this financial situation has not just suddenly been developed and materialised under the Labour government. So they are having to glue things together. You talk about inflation. Under the Tories just a couple of years ago, it was 19.1%. So let's not...
That was a global thing. We've now got some of the worst inflation in the world now, Nina.
Global schmobal. 19.1% in this country.
That was a global issue.
It's not all global. And you talk about food prices going up. Are the supermarkets not just creaming it? They're huge profits that they make. Their profits haven't fallen.
Well, then it's time, surely, then it would be time for a leader of a country who wants to stand up for people who do have to go shopping, which I think is everyone, for food, to start calling in the heads of these supermarkets, march them into Downing Street. Say, hang on a minute, where are you getting off here, charging, whatever it is, £7 for a bit of butter? You've got people here who are struggling.
Well, let's be careful here. I mean, don't put the idea in their head that the next great plan is to nationalise supermarkets.
Yeah, true, sorry.
I mean, on Nina's point, she's got a point, and although I'm a member of the Conservative Party, I am sympathetic to people who say, well, it wasn't the best 14 years in office. But the problem with Nina's analogy, that sort of some relative of yours has gone around frittering away all the money, is that Labour's response to it has not been to tighten their belts. It's not been to say, well, we need to stop frittering away money. They're frittering away even more money. They're doubling down. Everything the Tories did wrong, Labour is doubling down on. More public sector spending, higher taxes, more regulation, even more than the Conservatives
Mark,
did.
you're the economist. what would you do?
We've got to massively reduce public spending, and we've got to have an adult conversation about it. The UK cannot sustain the level of state spending we have at the moment. It's got to fall by £100 billion or more.
But how are you going to get those million young people who are doing sod all, sitting on their sofa, thinking they're sad and lonely and life is dreadful?
Well,
how are you going to get them into work?
Well, partly that's because the welfare state's allowed people to take these.
But then where did that welfare state? That was under the Tories.
And again, Labour's doubling down on it. Labour's doing this even more.
You can't just suddenly throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right, but the medicine is the same. So if you think what the Tories did was wrong, what you're now getting is worse.
But let's just zoom out a bit here, because one of the things that when you add all of this together and everything that we've just spoken about here now, I think what it feels to a lot of people out there who are watching and listening to this show now is that they do everything right, they do things by the book, they get off the backside, they do work, they do pay the tax, they don't try and clog up the NHS, they try to go there as little as possible, all of this stuff, and they are the ones, ultimately, who will be paying the price for all of this.
This country is punishing aspiration. You want to send your kids to private school, you're getting whacked now, even though you're paying for other kids in the state system. You want private healthcare, you're getting whacked now. The only people better off in this country are illegal immigrants, doctors and train drivers, and that's because they're the friends of the Labour Party. This country is falling apart. The services are failing, and, you know, we are seeing people coming from foreign lands and living it up with buffet breakfasts in this country.
The reason rail fares are so high is because the rail system was privatised. You look at Avanti. How much did the CEO of Avanti make? Over £1 million. The chief financial officer, over £3 million. This is a service where they cancel...
I mean, Avanti is awful, by the way. I mean, that's the reason. Seriously, if I want to get the train home to see my parents, I can't guarantee I'll come back.
No, exactly. They cancel the trains all the time, and yet they're creaming it off the top. So we've inherited this system, and they've got to get it right. But you cannot just fix it overnight.
No. All right. Well, look, I think as we've touched on there, there's obviously some quite dire economic stuff going on there, and I think the problem is that it looks as though it's going to fall on people who are paying tax, who are in work, who aren't, you know, career criminals or people who are pouncing off the state to have to try and clean up that mess. I think it's a very damaging situation now because at some point people go no. And what happens then? And that's concerning future.